watching CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez podcast, and we're back for another day talking about what's going on in the country. I'm going to clear some things up for some people. They've either misconstrued, misunderstood, or just weren't listening to what I was saying. We'll get to that here in just a moment. Hey, if you haven't noticed, here in the last few weeks, I've been showing commercials for Impact Health Sharing. They're a new partner here in the show. It allows you, Impact Health Sharing allows you to save 30 to 70% instantly on your healthcare bills. You can visit CramerSez.com/impact to learn more. And exactly what is it? Well, Impact puts the power and freedom and the control of paying for healthcare back into your hands. Switch to Impact and start saving thousands. We offer programs starting at just $73 for individuals and $378 for families. Sorry, I was reading that off the side there. So take a look at that. We'll be right back after this message from Impact Health Sharing and to talk about where we are and what's wrong with what people think I'm saying. We'll talk about that right after this.
What is Impact Health Sharing?
Impact Health Sharing isn't insurance.
It's a modern, affordable alternative to traditional health insurance, offering significant cost savings.
Most members save 30 to 50% on healthcare costs. With Impact Health Sharing, you enjoy the freedom to choose any doctor without in-network restrictions.
With an easy, hassle-free enrollment process.
Plus, access telemedicine 24/7 with $0 provider fees.
Call 844-827-2637 to learn how you can save 30, 40, even up to 50% on your healthcare costs.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome back to the show. It is Wednesday, July 3rd. We're just a day away from the celebration of the independence of our nation back in the 1770s. And I think that July 4th, 2024 may be one of the most important Independence Day celebrations we've ever had in this nation. As you can see, our nation is in trouble. It's falling apart across the board. Crime is through the roof. Oh, crime's down, Kramer. No, it's not. They're reporting less crime, but there's a lot more crime in the streets. You've got Soros DAs across the United States deciding that they're going to decriminalize certain things, not abide by the actual law, not prosecute people for breaking the law, and then they turn around and say that crime has dropped. Crime hasn't dropped. The prosecutions of crimes have dropped. So we've got to pay attention to what's actually happening in real time. And I want to play this video here. I'm going to get to an explanation. Some people have been berating me on social media, saying, Kramer, you're saying the wrong thing. You're trying to make people not vote. I'll get to those here in just a moment. We'll read those off. But I want to have you listen to this first from Byron Donalds and Wesley Hunt appearing on the Sage Steele show. Listen carefully to what they had to say here.
Let me ask you about...
real quick.
Yeah.
Hold on. I know we got to touch this.
Yeah.
Because you brought up what we do for the world. When the world's in trouble, we show up. Joe Biden, the man is awful. He's terrible at this job. America knows he's terrible at the job.
Everyone knows. This is not a conversation.
We have lost 7 United States embassies under his presidency.
Yes.
what does that mean?
So we have embassies all over the world in every country. That is essentially sovereign American territory. Under his watch, we have had to evacuate 7 United States embassies.
I did not know that.
That has never happened in American history.
So weak
never.
We are. That's how weak we are.
That's how weak we are on the world stage.
What?
That right there should tell you a lot about what's going on. We've got another clip that we'll show you here in just a moment as well. But folks, we are in the weakest position that this nation has ever been. This president that's currently in the White House, the puppet that is pretending to be the POTUS, more like a potato, everyone on the world stage sees us for who we are right now, that we're weak and feckless. And so the reason that they can show that to the world is because they don't care. They don't care. Their whole, the left, the rhinos, the uniparty, their whole drive, folks, is to manage us. They couldn't give two shits about the rest of the planet. It's us. They've got to control us because we're the goose that lays the golden egg. Now, over the last few weeks, I've been saying the same thing over and over and over again. They will not allow Trump to be president. And some people have misconstrued that as saying that I'm telling you not to go vote. That is not the case. Go vote. I'm voting. If we have elections come November 5th, rather, I'm going to go vote. I'm going to go make my voice heard at the polling station if they allow us to do it. I'm not telling you not to go vote. But this too big to rig thing, folks, it blows my mind that people believe that the 2020 election was rigged, but somehow by voting more that they can't just rig the next. They rigged the last one. I'm not telling you not to go vote. I'm telling you your vote doesn't matter. If you believe they rigged the last one, they're going to rig this one. This one is far more important than the last one. I'm going to say that again. The 2024 election is far more important than the 2020 election that we know that they rigged. Why is it more important? Well, it's simple, folks. They have a lot more to lose now. We know what they've done. We know who the players are. We know the shenanigans that they've been pulling and the illegal things that they've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years. We know that. We know what Hillary Clinton and her gang did going into the 2016 election. We know what Comey and his gang did with the FBI once Trump was elected. We know that they spied on him from within inside the walls of the White House. They held a soft coup in this nation, no different than Victoria Nuland and the Obama administration State Department did in Ukraine in 2014. We've been gaslit for the last 7 years. We've been told time and time again, if you ask these questions, you're the problem. If you make the statement that you believe the 2016 election was rigged, you're fine. But if you say it about 2020, you're un-American. You're a threat to democracy, threat to the national security, and so you get put on a do not fly list, like I'm on. Think about that. I've used my words, America. I've used my words. I haven't attacked anything. I haven't burnt anything down. I haven't called for anyone's assassination. I've just warned you of what they're going to do. And for that, I can't fly in the United States. Why? Not because I don't have the money. Not because I don't have the time. Because as an American citizen, I raised my voice. I'm not the only one. There's others that are on the do not fly list as well. I've never called for any terrorism or act of violence in this nation. I've said that civil war's coming. I've said that revolution is coming. But I have the right to say that. I have the right to talk about that. This is the language of our founding fathers. So when I tell you that they have to rig it to save their asses from going to the gallows, folks, I ain't fucking around. And if you're hearing, Kramer says don't go vote, they're going to rig the election, no reason to vote, they're going to rig it. That's not what I'm saying. That's what you're hearing. There's a difference in comprehension versus the intent. The intent is to tell you this is what's going to happen and to prepare yourselves for it. Because when it happens again, are you just going to let it slide this time? When they come in and they say, well, Trump lost because Michelle Obama jumped in at the last minute, the wife of a former president who has no training whatsoever in any of this, has never held political office in her life, is suddenly they're going to elevate her to the presidency of the United States of America? Well, yeah, they can. They cheat. They rigged the last election. They're already starting to say it. If we could just get somebody else in there, if we could just get some other talent in there, we would be able to re-energize the Democratic base. And if we can re-energize them, we can win. That's what they'll say they did. They'll say that they re-energized the base, and that the base saved them and saved the nation, saved democracy. And now we're going to have to round up those dirty MAGAs that have been causing so much problems. You've seen what Hillary Clinton has said and done. She said on several occasions that we should round up the MAGA crowd and re-educate them, put them into re-education camps. And she's not the only one. And then we saw what happened with this SCOTUS ruling just on Monday. What did SCOTUS say? SCOTUS said that you cannot hold the president legally responsible, criminally responsible, for his official actions or her official actions. You can't do that. And what did the left do? Well, suddenly they said that homicide, killing your political opponents, was okay because you can make it an official action. You feared that those people were a threat to the nation, and so therefore you can kill them. And that's not what the bill said. That's not what SCOTUS said. Is before the SCOTUS decision, was killing American citizens legal in any way, shape, or form? Nope. President doesn't have the authority to do it. Obama's done it. Obama killed Americans. He killed an American terrorist, who he called a terrorist. He said he deemed him a terrorist and then killed him. Bombed him. So that's how they think. Not that our president, former president, Trump, is being put through the ringer using lawfare. That's what they're saying you can't do. You can't come after him and say, well, we don't like what you did. By the way, it saves Joe's ass as well. What the Supreme Court just did was it saves Joe's ass of what's happened on the border. All these men and women that have been killed, the women that have been raped and murdered by these illegal aliens, Supreme Court just let Biden and Mayorkas and the rest of them off the hook. Can't go after them for their official actions. Regardless of what actions happened afterwards, you can't hold them responsible for their official actions. Regardless if they're illegal, regardless if they didn't abide by the law, they're saying you can hold them harmless. But they're official acts. Official acts do not include homicide of American citizens or the assassination of your political opponents. There's nowhere in the code that gives the presidency but that's where their thought process went. And that's why they're dangerous. And that's why you have to heed the warning that no matter how many people vote in the 2024 election, folks, no matter how many people go to the polls and pull that lever or push the button for Donald J. Trump, the powers that be will not let him be president. That's my point. We could have 100 million people vote for Donald J. Trump. They're not going to let him run this country. They're not going to let him investigate their crimes. They're not going to let his investigators delve into what they've been doing. They're not going to let that little black book that Ghislaine Maxwell holds so dear to her chest, they're not going to let that out. The judge isn't going to let that out because it's them. That's why we haven't seen that list. There's a bunch of bullshit going on right now on X, showcasing that Trump is a pedophile. Trump is a pedophile. Look at all this information from 2016. It's just been released. Folks, that was all debunked in 2016. If Trump were really a pedophile, and they had the images, and they had the testimony, and everything that they say, if they had that, they wouldn't have to generate 34 felonies out of a misdemeanor. They wouldn't have to do all these other cases and the shenanigans with the lawfare. They wouldn't have to go down to Mar-a-Lago and tamper with evidence and produce pictures that were faked to make the American the American people believe something that's untrue. They wouldn't have to do all of that if Trump were a pedophile. If they had what they had on Trump, they would release it. I would. Wouldn't you? If you had information on somebody, wouldn't you release it? Wouldn't you give it to them? Wouldn't you showcase, this person is sick, they're demented? Do you know how I know it's not true? I'll tell you how I know it's not true. Because right now, there's a series of videos that you can find on X. I can't remember the user's name, but there's a string, and you'll find, if you go, you'll find it. It's where men are going into stores, and they're finding, well, I shouldn't say they're going into stores. They create fake personas of 14, 15, 13, 12-year-old adolescents, boys and girls. And then they fish for pedophiles. They put pictures of them, or they put AI-generated pictures up to entice these men and these women, because there's women as well. There's a woman on there. She was trying to find a 14-year-old girl for her husband to fuck so they could film it. What's happening is that these men are luring these pedophiles out, and they're saying, well, let's meet at Walmart, or let's meet at Target, or let's meet at this store. And then once they're there, they confront them and they put them on camera. And now here's the odd part. They don't just scream and yell at them. They beat the shit out of them in the store, daring the pedophile to press charges. The guy says, I'll take an assault charge, but the moment you call the police on me, we're going to give all the information on you. Folks, this is how justice was done in the day when the police would not do their job. Today, the police and the FBI and others, they're more concerned about silencing you, silencing dissent, than they are finding the criminals. We just found out that Marjorie Taylor Greene just announced that Mayorkas has announced that they have built resource centers in South America. Our government has built resource centers in South America. The Biden administration has built resource centers in South America to help the illegals get to our nation illegally, to cross our borders illegally. What's the safest way to do it? If you're going to come up here, we'll help you out. And then in cities across the nation, all blue, they're allowing DACA, illegals. DACA is just a fancy word for you're not a citizen. We're going to give you a special classification, but you're still illegal. But we're going to give you a special classification because you're special. You've been illegal here since you were born. You've done nothing about it. Your parents have done nothing about it. Nothing to rectify the situation. But we're going to give you a special status. And that special status says that you can stay here. You're not in trouble. We're even going to pay for your education and all of that. But you're still here illegally. They're allowing DACA now, DACA recipients, to be police officers in major blue cities around the nation. Folks, when somebody, the first action that they take is to break the laws of your land. By the way, any DACA recipient or DACA person that is over the age of 18 and hasn't done anything to rectify their status should be booted out automatically, along with their parents. But nope, what they're doing in blue cities is they're making them into cops because they have a shortage. You see, during COVID, they kicked out all the motherfuckers who said, no, I'm not taking that bullshit. And now they got a problem. And then they said, let's defund the police. So they demoralized all the motherfuckers in there who had a conscience and said, no, I'm out here fighting for the people. I'm out here doing a job for the people. And what did the blue cities do? They got rid of everybody who would abide by the law and wanted to do best by the people. What's left? Just like we said during COVID, you'll get the people who will do anything or say anything to keep their jobs. And what have you got now? More and more reports of police overreach. And now, in Los Angeles, Chicago's going to be doing it soon if they haven't already done it. You'll have an illegal alien who doesn't have papers proving that they're a citizen, asking for you to provide your papers to prove that you're a citizen. I need your license and registration, sir, from an illegal alien. Well, I'd like to see your ID first. I'd like to see your ID that you're an American citizen before you arrest me, because I don't recognize your authority. I don't care what that motherfucker over there says. I don't care what that motherfucker says. You're not a citizen. You have no authority over me. Now, as I talk about these things, and the reason I bring these up is because I want to circle back time and time again. All of this is happening while people are relying on the 2024 election to save us. The 2024 election will not save America. I've been saying it for the last 2 years. They'll never allow Trump to be president, ever. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what I say. Doesn't matter what we want. Doesn't matter. You can say we're going to make it too big to rig all day long. They rigged the last one. And you expect that if we do everything right and we really knock on doors that they're not going to... I'm not saying not go vote. People have misunderstood me. They've misconstrued it. I mean, think about this, folks. You trust the 2024 election, but the 2020 was rigged. And for the first time in U.S. history, I've never talked to anyone or imagined for any real instance that the election wouldn't happen. But in 2024, we're all asking, will they allow the 2024 election to happen, where there'll be some kind of flat black flag that they have to do to maintain power? They cannot be investigated, folks. They can't. They cannot be investigated. I'm going to talk about a personal story of mine when we come back, because I used to be a criminal. We'll talk about that when we get done.
Impact Health Sharing isn't insurance. It's affordable health care. Impact Health Sharing offers comprehensive medical services, covering preventive care, maternity, accidents, illnesses, and injuries.
Plus, choose any doctor or healthcare provider you trust with no in-network restrictions.
Enjoy the freedom and coverage you need
for your entire family.
To learn more about how you can save 30, 40, even up to 50% on your healthcare costs, call 844-827-2637.
That's 844-827-2637.
CramerSez is everywhere. Twitter, Truth, Instagram, and always on America's fastest growing free speech platform, CramerSez Social. Make your free account today at CramerSez.com. You're watching CramerSez.
By the way, thanks so much for the comments coming in. Let's go through some of these real quick. This is a good one. They've been doing what they've been doing since they murdered JFK. They murdered a sitting president. Then they murdered his brother. They murdered Martin Luther King Jr. They murdered Malcolm X. They have no problem murdering dissidents. They have no problem murdering the people that pose a threat to them. And you think that they're going to let the 2024 election slide? They're going to let Trump come in and investigate them? That's why I'm saying, be prepared for the loss. Be prepared for that night in November, just like in 2020, where we knew we had it at 10:30. We knew that we had it, and by 1 o'clock, it was gone. By 3 o'clock, it was confirmed to be gone. We got so many votes in for Biden last minute that, numerically and statistically, it can't happen this way, but it was a sign from God that Joe is supposed to be president. And we've sat back and allowed a president to rule that didn't have the authorization of the people. They're not afraid of you. They're not afraid of a big election. Folks, there's 1,400 political prisoners sitting in jail right now. Peter Navarro's in jail. Steve Bannon's in jail. Merrick Garland, DOJ, is rounding up at least one new person a day from January 6th. They're still going after people that were on the grounds on January 6th. They're not stopping. Don't you get it? That's my message. They've shown you who they are. Believe them to be who they are. When they tell you they don't want you here, when they tell you that they want less of you here, when they tell you that they want to put MAGA in re-education camps, when they project that if Trump is elected, they'll be put in re-education camps, the only people talking about rounding up dissidents, rounding up people and putting them into re-education camps are the Democrats. When they tell you what they're going to do, believe them. I do. They have done everything they said they were going to do. They've done everything they said they weren't going to do. Remember when they said, no, we won't make mask mandates, and then they made mask mandates. Remember when they said they don't have the power, the authority? Remember when Joe Biden said, I don't have the authority, I don't have the power to mandate vaccines, and then he did. He found the power somewhere. That's what I'm telling you. Why do you trust the liars? Why do you have faith that they'll do the right thing this time? We keep asking, is there going to be an election? Will we have an election? Folks, have you ever thought about that in your entire life? Have you ever questioned whether we would have an election? Now the question is, are we going to have a war before the election? I'm saying right now, I'm saying that any war that this administration gets us in before the election is an act of treason against this nation. We have to start speaking in the language of our founding fathers. I'm going to go through some tweets here and some comments because I think it's important for people to understand what I've been saying, and I want you to listen closely. This is a text from a good buddy of mine. I asked him, he said he checked out the podcast from yesterday and said, I liked the information, but felt you were leading your viewers to not bother voting. His comment, we cannot afford to lose one vote. It would be a disservice to scare anyone away from voting on November 5th, regardless of what the tea leaves are saying. Folks, I'm not telling you not to go vote. Go vote. Be a part of the process. Go vote. But be prepared to understand that your vote doesn't mean shit when they cheat. That the fix is already in. We're being told that China is already preparing for the 2024 election. Massive reports of what they're doing. We see in the polling that they can't win. Michelle Obama is the only one that really poses a threat to Donald Trump. And you can see their desperation right now. Nothing was the matter with Joe. For 4 years, Joe was fine. And suddenly, well, we've had a chance to rip the curtain back and see who the Wizard of Oz really is. Don't look back here, folks. Disregard the man behind the curtain. So they throw us this Michelle Obama, Hail Mary. The president, the wife of a former president, who's never had any political experience whatsoever, never held political office, is suddenly the solution for the Democrat Party? Someone who has no track record, no voting record. Some person who made the statement during an official presidential event, all of this over a flag. Remember when she said that? All of this over a flag. That's who they think is the saving grace to their democracy. I'm not telling you not to go vote. I'm saying go vote. I'm just saying not to count on your vote counting. Because that's where we're at. I've got I'm going to go to, let me see if I can find this here. I'm on Twitter. Or X. I still call it Twitter. Fuck it. I mean, here's the thing, folks. If you're on X and do you re-X or is it a retweet? I'm so confused. Let's see here. Let me see here. I'll give you another one. This is, and I'll put this out there right now. If you're in a militia, I want to talk to you. I want to have a conversation about your militia and how you formed it and how others can do the same around the nation. Because there's a Senate bill right now, 3589, Senate Bill 3589, that wants to outlaw your constitutional right to form and exercise with a militia. Did you know that? Yeah, these people are not stopping. They're going for the power base of your rights. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't me scaring you or being a black pill or trying to, fear porn. That's not. These are the actions of your elected officials, folks. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not a, the Bilderberger Group and what is the Grove that Alex Jones was so famous for. It's not that. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's fact. It's in writing. It's Senate Bill 3589. Go look it up. What do they talk about there? You can't form a militia. Private militias are outlawed. That's what this bill aims to do. Sponsored by Markey out of Massachusetts. And I can't remember who his co-sponsor is. It's California. It's a congressman out of California, or senator out of California co-sponsored this. So 2 Democrats are electing to take your rights away, saying you can't exercise with a militia. Now, I don't think the majority of the people out there in the country are forming militias and exercising in their backyards. I just don't see it happening. But they're wanting to make sure that it's illegal to do that. Why? Well, because law-abiding citizens, those who are most likely never going to pick up a firearm against the government, will abide by the Constitution, or will abide by the law. I don't care about law. I care about Constitution. It doesn't matter what the law is. It used to be legal to own people. Constitution made it clear it was illegal, but they had passed laws that made it legal. I mean, anyway, here's what I put on X. Please share to reach a larger audience. Do you belong to a militia? I'm doing a podcast next week about our constitutional right to form and exercise with private militias. Senate Bill 3589 will make forming or exercising with a private militia illegal. And it goes through and it tells you exactly what you can and can't do, how many bullets you can have in your gun. You can't have excess bullets. It's amazing what they've gone through doing. It continues, if you're a member of a private militia, I'd love to have you on my podcast to discuss this threat to our constitutional rights. That goes out today on this as well. If you belong to a militia, let's talk. Let's talk in the language of our founding fathers. Here's what's interesting. It's amazing to me, the number of people that said the same exact thing. These are American citizens, law-abiding American citizens that don't understand their rights. They're afraid of the government, that the government will come for them. Just comment I'm in, and I'll DM you for more. There's only one reason tyrants want our guns and our rights to use them. Only we stand in the breach. I've attached the bill, and you can read the bill. Let me read what it says here that you cannot do. Unauthorized private paramilitary activity includes publicly patrolling or drilling or engaging in techniques capable of causing bodily injury or death. So marching with your gun down the street, in your backyard, on private property, now illegal under this bill. Interfere or interrupt or attempt to interfere with or interrupt government operations or a government proceeding. So what they're afraid of is militias doing what they said the insurrection was for. They're wanting to make that. They're wanting to make what our founding fathers did illegal. It's the long and short of it. They want to make what our founding fathers had to do to free this nation of the tyrants of Great Britain. They want to make those activities illegal for you to do. Let that sink in. Here's one of the comments, and it's at Jedi Dan 329 Warhammer 40K to, and I don't see the rest of his name there, but this is no offense to you either, Warhammer, but I want to bring this out because I think it's important for people to understand. This is what I hear time and time again. No offense to you, but I would not go on a show and discuss any militia stuff if I were in one. They know it's unconstitutional and they drafted that bill anyway. People need to learn from the founders and stop giving wannabe tyrants government overreach fuel for their fire. The wrong thing said, and they clip it, meaning that I say something on here, and they take that and they're going to use that against me. Me exercising my First Amendment rights, talking about our Second Amendment rights being infringed because telling people they can't be in a militia is an infringement on the Second Amendment. It's clearly in there to form a militia as part of a militia. If you're afraid to exercise those rights, then you don't have them, is my position. The wrong thing said, and they clip it. Best if people keep their stuff private while telling their direct congressman and woman to vote no for any such bill, and be polite. No ranting and raving. Be on the right side of history. Not like the climate protesters, throwing paint or whatever, defacing property. Warhammer, I don't think you understand your history. I don't think you understand and realize that we destroyed millions of dollars of tea in the harbor. We killed British soldiers. We killed their lieutenants and their generals and their colonels and everybody. We assassinated. Do you know your history in this nation? Do you know that this nation was built on revolution? We told the old guys we ain't doing it anymore. And then we set a set of rules in place that said in the event that motherfuckers like the ones we just beat rise to power, here's the authority to go take them out. And what are the current tyrants doing? They're trying to take away your right to remove them. As you can imagine, folks, my comment was, if you're afraid to exercise your rights, they're not rights, they're permissions. You're a slave. If you don't have the courage to use your voice against the tyrants, if you won't use your First Amendment, you'll never use the Second Amendment. It takes courage to be the first one to stand up. You see, that's what I understand. It doesn't take courage. It doesn't take courage to stand. It takes the willingness to die. That's what you have to be willing to do. Die for what you're about to say, because that's what our founding fathers did. When they signed that Declaration of Independence, it was a fucking death warrant. It's a death sentence. The king would hang them. And for those that the king found that had signed that document, guess what happened to them? They fucking hung for using their voice. If you're afraid to use your voice, if you're afraid to speak up, you don't have rights. Well, we can't air. I think that's what he's saying here. I haven't seen this comment. We're going to read this first time. If you don't have the courage to use your voice against the tyrant, you'll never have the balls to raise arms. Now you know exactly who you are. Warhammer comes back with a response. I think you misunderstand me. Anyone in a serious militia outside the appointed leader is not likely just to come on your show and openly discuss things. Groups like that are usually tight-knit and don't speak about things as a member of the militia. As Joe Schmo, they probably, and it goes on. Folks, if you're afraid to use your voice to warn the bully that if the bully oversteps their authority, they continue to do what they're doing, if you're afraid to speak up to the bully, you'll never punch the bully. How do I know? Because I fought a lot of bullies. I've seen a lot of people cower to bullies. My brother was one of those. My brother was one of those. He was an artist. He was a kind. He died a few years ago of colon cancer, but he was an artist. He was a kind person. He didn't want to fight. I was the older brother. He had big, thick glasses. He was a little shorter than everybody else. A little quirky. Got made fun of a lot. So Big Brother had to come in and protect him all the time. Todd wouldn't do the same for me. Terre Haute, Indiana, I got surrounded by the neighborhood bullies, and they're pushing and shoving me, and I told him, no, I'm not going to listen to him. Folks, I've been the same since I was a kid. I've never changed who I am. Don't like the bullies. I don't relent to you're going to fucking beat me up. Today, you're going to have to jail me or kill me to shut me up. If you don't have that courage to speak up, you'll never arm up. I keep saying, oh, I'm locked and loaded. No, you're not. You're not ready to do shit. I'll give you another example. I was at dinner last Friday with a couple of gentlemen, good friends, good guys, hardcore conservatives. And one guy Dan wants to rip everybody's throats out. I just want to get closer to him and rip their fucking throat out. He's so angry. And then I've got another guy that is going through a website of images of political people, and he's saying, I would kill that person. 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 It's big talk. Wanting to rip throats out and kill people. They've got their lists. Then I asked a question. I said, let me ask you this. I said, in the event that Antifa or Black Lives Matter or whatever group, Palestinians, whatever, as soon as they start protesting in downtown Indianapolis, what do you say that the three of us strap up and go down there, and we'll just stand in front of stores and guard the stores so they don't get looted? Well, I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't do that. Why not? That's just raising your voice. You haven't done anything. If you won't raise your voice, you won't raise arms. Got a bunch of brave cowards in this nation. A bunch of men who think that they've got what it takes, but refuse to raise their voice. I knew we were in trouble during COVID because people were afraid to raise their voice because they might lose a job, because they might lose their home. I lost it all, folks. All of it. Because I opened my mouth. I'm still here. They still haven't shut me up. They took away my pay. They destroyed my company. I'm still here. I'm still doing what I do because I'm good at what I do. I'm not stopping. They're going to have to kill me or jail me. That's the only option they have. Charlie Kirk has said the same. Steve Bannon has said the same. And Trump, by doing what he's doing with the death threats that he has, I mean, look at what just happened over the last few days. How many people on the left, and the BBC guy, the guy from BBC, I can't remember his name, called for Biden to assassinate Trump on the BBC. Well, I shouldn't say that. It was in a tweet. But a BBC personality, a bigwig, says that Biden shouldn't waste any time and he should off Trump as soon as possible. You think these people that are calling for the assassination of Trump, You think they're going to give you a free and fair election in 2024? That's what I'm telling you to be prepared for. We can't let 2020 slip by us again. We cannot have another 2020 where, okay, well, I guess they won. They said they won. We can't talk about it. We can't investigate it. No judge will take up the cases. Folks, if you can't investigate the most basic thing of what it means to be an American, if you can't look into our elections without being called an election denier or a threat to democracy or national security, if you can't do those things, we've got bigger problems. Don't you get it? That's what I keep trying to get people to understand. The bullies that we're seeing at the levels of our government today are no different than the bullies that you had in middle school or in elementary school or high school or wherever you met your bully. They haven't changed at all. The tactics are still the same. They will do to you on a daily basis as an adult what they did to you as a child. The difference is the scale is much larger. We're not talking about losing your lunch money anymore. We're talking about losing your livelihood. We saw it happen. They told people, if you don't do what we say, you can't work here anymore. If you don't do what we say, you can't come into this restaurant. If you don't do what we say, you can't go to this concert. If you don't do what we say, you can't go on that cruise. If you don't do what we say... Does that sound like the American way? If you don't do like we say, that's not America. That's not what the founding fathers fought for. And if you think that it's going to stop, that they're going to relent without you raising your voice, at the very least, just raise your voice. We can't go into the streets like them. Folks, going into the streets, that's what January 6th was. We went into the fucking streets and it scared the shit out of them. Why? Because we never do it. That's why it scared them. Scared the fucking living shit out of them. I said it on January 6th. I was on the Capitol grounds on Facebook saying it. They're scared shitless. This is a wake-up call. It'll never be the same in this nation. And it hasn't been. That's what I was saying on January 6th at the bottom of the stairs of the Capitol building. On January 6th, I stood there and said, we're fucked. This will not end well. And I was right. And the American people are cowards. They've seen what's happened in front of them. But they're not willing to lose what they have to gain freedom and liberty and their nation back. They think that somebody else, Byron Donalds, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Trump, me, Steve Bannon, they believe that somebody else is going to go fix the problem for them. We're not. We're the canaries in the coal mine, trying to convince you to raise your voice. We'll be right back after this.
Impact Health Sharing isn't insurance. It's affordable health care.
Impact Health Sharing offers comprehensive medical services, covering preventive care, maternity, accidents, illnesses, and injuries.
Plus, choose any doctor or healthcare provider you trust with no in-network restrictions.
Enjoy the freedom and coverage you need
for your entire family.
To learn more about how you can save 30, 40, even up to 50% on your healthcare costs, call 844-827-2637.
That's 844-827-2637.
CramerSez is everywhere. Twitter, True, Instagram, and always on America's fastest growing free speech platform, CramerSez Social. Make your free account today at CramerSez.com. You're watching CramerSez.
One of the things that people tell me all the time, I get in my comments, is, Kramer, you scream and yell too much. I've got a buddy of mine, who was a client for a number of years. In fact, my first client. And a mentor in many ways, multimillionaire. And so I looked to him for advice on certain things, but he's an establishment Republican. And so one of the things that he says, well, all your screaming and yelling just drives people away. It's offensive. But what's more offensive, Kramer, is your cursing. Can't you tell your message without cursing? You would get more people listening to you if you wouldn't curse. You'd get more people listening to you if you wouldn't scream and yell. If you offered a kinder and gentler version of your message, you would get more people listening. I don't want people listening. I want people acting. The people who are offended by being yelled and screamed at and called moronic for not exercising their first and second, and, well, all their rights, aren't the people that are going to stand. The people that are offended by curse words don't have the courage to speak up, let alone curse at the government. Those watching right now are the ones most likely to rise. Those paying attention to the message and spreading this message, not just my voice, but using their own. Folks, I've never asked for you for anything from my audience. I started doing this when no one was watching, when no one was listening. I did it because there has to be someone screaming into the wind, and hopefully someone else will hear that message and repeat it, relay it. I don't want fame. People have been accused by the Q community that I utilized them, that I grew to fame through them. I didn't grow to fame through them. I shared my thoughts and insights. They shared what I was saying. One of the fallacies, folks, is believing that just because people are on the same side that they all agree. That's not the case. I liken it to going to dinner with the staunchest conservatives or the staunchest liberals or the staunchest Marxists you've ever met. They all go to dinner. All the Marxists go to dinner. And they sit down at that table. If they don't all order the exact same meal, if they don't order the exact same drinks, if they don't order in unison as a cult, and they all say, we're having this sandwich, we're having these chips, and we're having this drink. If they don't all do that, it proves the point. There's differences of opinions in every group. You've got extremes in every group. No matter how big or how small, you've got extremes. That's what you understand from marketing and advertising. That's my background. So no group is a monolith. When I hear these pundits say, well, the white community, you're not speaking for the white community. The black community, you're not speaking for the black community. The Hispanic community, you're not speaking for the Hispanic community. You're giving your opinion, one voice, about all the others, all the millions. No group is a monolith, but they'll make you believe that it is. I'm going to go back to saying this, that if you're offended by my cursing, it's probably best to unfollow me. I'm not here for followers. I'm not here for anything else other than getting the word out. And if my cursing offends you, or me telling you that the 2024 election is going to be rigged just like the 2020 election offends you because you're thinking that I'm telling you not to go vote, that I'm trying to discourage you from voting, that's not it. What I'm trying to encourage you to do is prepare for what they're going to do. We were ill prepared for 2020. We didn't see it coming. You think that they're not going to repeat that? Come on. In the famous words of Joe Biden, come on, man! Are you serious? The people listening and watching right now are those most likely to rise and do something. Now, people ask me all the time, well, what is it, Kramer? What is it? It's not in D.C. It's in your state capital. Those are the people that are supposed to be defending you against the federal overreach. The federal government's lost. I'm not going to write my congressman or my senator and say, please don't vote for this bill. I'm not going to write them a tersely worded letter. No, I'm going to go back to the state legislature and demand that they do what they need to do, because you know what? I know where they live. I know where they shop. I know where they work. I know where they go to church. I know where their kids go to school. We know all of these things about the people in our local community because, like they've said so many times, all politics are local. Most powerful person in your life is not the president of the United States, it's your local sheriff. Your local sheriff has more immediate power over you than even the president has. They can invoke a 72-hour martial law in your county, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you're worried about Joe invoking martial law. No. All politics are local, folks. And the sooner you understand that, and you understand that your voice locally to the people that are supposed to be representing you means more than you screaming and yelling at the TV about what's going on in D.C., those people have no power. Have you read the Constitution? Have you seen the part where it says, powers not given to the federal government go to the states and the people thereof? They don't have the authority to do what they're doing. The only reason they're doing it is because we haven't pushed back. We haven't said, no, you don't have the authority to do that. That's what the Supreme Court just did. When it told the EPA and ATF and these other agencies, you can't make law. You got to take that back to Congress. If you want to make law, you got to go back to Congress. Your rules don't apply because rules are not law. And under your dictate here, you don't have the authority to make law. You can't make things punitive. Your rules and regulations don't apply to the American people because we're a land of laws, not rules and regulations. I don't abide by any of the rules and regulations I'm told I have to abide by. There's no authority. Historical Society in Indianapolis has held me up for years. Finally, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go ahead and put the windows I want to put in. They want me to buy $250,000 worth of windows when I only have to spend $80,000. But they're saying, no, it's a historic building. Nothing in the Indiana State Constitution gives them the authority to tell me what I have to do with my property. Nothing. Laws do. But the laws are illegal. They can't tell me what I have to put into my building. That's a regulation. That's not a law. You starting to pick up when I'm laying down? It doesn't stop, folks, until you say stop. The bully will keep pushing. It's good to see Byron Donalds in this interview that he did with Sage Steele and Wesley Hunt. He brought up the playground. I think it's amazing. I've been using that analogy for the last 10 years. When I realized that life hasn't changed since the playground, I go back and, okay, well, what did Billy do on the playground? How did he handle that situation? Well, he did this, this, and this. What they do now is more diabolical, but the tactics are still the same. You attack someone, they're going to want to attack back. Bullies, well, they're mean about it. Most bullies are passive aggressive. They do the same thing over and over again. You've seen it time and time again. Let's just take the LGBTQIA, all right? They felt emboldened, justified. In San Francisco, the men's choir decided to make a song. We're coming after your kids. There's nothing you can do. And then we call them on it. They played the victim. Oh, that's not what we meant. You've misconstrued what we said. Then what they do is they inject the drag queens into reading hour. Why are drag queens going off to the nursing homes and reading to the elderly that can't read? They don't go there, do they? No, they go where they can make an impact. And then when we push back, oh, what are you doing? I'm not doing anything wrong here. There's nothing that I'm doing that's wrong. You're the problem. You're transphobic. You're homophobic. You're the problem. No, you're trying to molest our kids. You're trying to groom our children. We see it for what it is. I don't have any problem saying it. And by the way, the LGBTQ, right, is not any different than any other group. What I mean by what I mean by that is they're going to push you as far as they can, as hard as they can, until you push back. That's what bullies do. They have to be loud. They have to be boisterous. They have to go to the streets. That's all they have because there's so few of them. But what they've done is smart. They've infiltrated all levels. I was in entertainment for years. Advertising, marketing, I was radio, TV. That industry is full of the gay community. Primarily because they can work long hours, because they don't have any kids. That's why they're so beneficial to the industry. Not what I think. It was an article from I think it was 88, 89. When it was realized how many gays were in the... Now, listen, I don't have any problem with gays. And to say that somebody who's gay that lives next door to you belongs to this group, this radical... You can't say that. Because no group is a monolith. There are plenty of... I've got gay friends across the country. Conservative Ant is one down in Florida. If you know of him on TikTok and Instagram and X here, Conservative Ant is gay. He's a conservative gay person. He's pushing back against all the... He likes dudes. I don't get it. Sure, he doesn't get why I like women. But he's fighting actively against all of this bullshit that you're seeing. And what is he facing? Well, the gay community is all over him. Calling him an Uncle Tom. They always use the same language. It's all they have available. You see, when they lose the argument, they go to name calling or reputation destruction. or they just off you. That's all they have. That's what the bully had. The bully couldn't kill you. He just beat you up. But it's always been the same, folks. They first call you out. They call you names. Then they try to destroy your reputation. You're back in the day, you were gay as a guy, or you were slut as a girl, or they would just beat you up. Tell me how have the tactics changed? How the strategies changed since 8th grade? They haven't. So as Americans, you have to start waking up and realizing, again, yes, go vote on November 5th. Make your voice heard on November 5th. When you hear what I'm saying and you realize, oh my God, he's not screaming and yelling at me. He's telling me to get off my ass. He's not angry with me. He's angry with me for not doing anything. He's not telling us not to go vote. He's saying go vote, but be prepared for the cheat. My son said one time, he goes, Dad, for years I thought you were telling me no, that I couldn't do things. And he says, what I realized in college is that what you were telling me is all the things that I had to do just to hope to be successful. He wanted to open up a online nutrition store out of his college room. And I said, okay. So, well, how many other people are doing it? What research have you done? And he came back and he says, there's 1,400 of these across the country. And so we looked at them. I looked at the scale. This is what I do for a living. So I go and looked at it and I said, well, here's all the things that you have to beat before you can even start. Here's the problems that you're going to have and the money you're going to have to raise and the work you're going to have to put into it while going to college full time. Do you have the ability to do that? And first, what he heard was no. He heard me telling him no, he couldn't do it, that it was impossible. I never said that. These are the hurdles you have to overcome just to hope to be successful, to put yourself in the running. These are all the things that you have to do. Folks, it's no different than today. We've got a bunch of hurdles in front of us. The number one hurdle is people's fear of using their voice because the government might come after them. If you fear the government might come after you because you use your voice, you're a slave. You've already been captured. They don't have to worry about you. Because if you won't raise your voice to the bully on the playground, you won't beat him up behind the school building. You won't go to the corner lot on the last day of school and beat the shit out of a guy in Martinsville, Indiana, because he taunted you for 2 weeks. You won't do that. You see, that's what I did. Because I don't back down from bullies. Federal government's going to come and knock on my door and telling me that me using my voice is somehow a crime. Folks, if that's your fear, we've got bigger problems than you think. We'll be right back after this.
Impact Health Sharing isn't insurance. It's affordable health care.
Impact Health Sharing offers comprehensive medical services, covering preventive care, maternity, accidents, illnesses, and injuries.
Plus, choose any doctor or healthcare provider you trust with no in-network restrictions.
Enjoy the freedom and coverage you need
for your entire family.
To learn more about how you can save 30, 40, even up to 50% on your healthcare costs, call 844-827-2637.
That's 844-827-2637.
CramerSez is everywhere. Twitter, True, Instagram, and always on America's fastest growing free speech platform, CramerSez Social. Make your free account today at CramerSez.com. You're watching CramerSez.
It's interesting to me. I've been doing this for the last 3 or 4 years. I'd never gone to social media before until COVID hit. I thought it was all a bunch of. I sold it. We bought ads for it, but I didn't mess with it because I didn't see the benefit to my time. I was making a lot of money. Didn't have time to go do a podcast about how to make all that money. I was already making it. But when they took that away from me, I said, I'm going to use the resources that I currently have. So far, I've spent about $500,000 in doing what we've done over the last 3 or 4 years. If you haven't been over to CramerSez.com, go get yourself an account. That's one of the things that I've been paying for out of my pocket. I haven't asked anybody for anything. I don't ask you to buy my shit. I ask you to listen. I ask you to open your eyes. I don't want you subscribing to me. I could use the money. Everybody could. But I want to be out there bare so that you understand that what we're talking about right now, folks, is so fucking important that I don't want money in the way. I've got partnerships, people that advertise with me because they want to get your attention. But I don't personally want anything from you. If you don't buy their services, doesn't matter. I'm fine. But you as an American citizen have to stop being afraid of your government. John here makes a great point. He's saying, say when. John, now. Right now, today. You don't need my permission. You don't need my guidance. What you need is 3 or 4 or 5 friends, because you've got to be prepared for what happens next. You've got to build a community that supports each other, that when they come knocking on the doors, folks, if what we think is going to happen happens, and if what has to happen happens, for them to maintain power, to maintain control. I mean, look at the disarray. I pointed this out on X. I thought it was hilarious. Remember when Hakeem Jeffries took to the podium and just lamented and laughed? Oh, these Republicans. Oh, they've got Kevin McCarthy. They had to vote for him 15 times. They're in such disarray. How does that compare to Dementia Joe? And there lies the problem. You see, Republicans aren't returning that favor. John, they're not telling the American public how bad what's happening with inside the Democrat Party is, not only for the party, but for the nation on the global scale. There's a report coming out of New York that one of the illegal immigrants that has been rounded up for killing and raping an American citizen, they're now saying that the migrant camps in these blue cities have been armed. Now, is it true? I don't know. But that's what he's claiming in court records. That's what his testimony is. And he specifically says that they're waiting for November. They're waiting for the election. Canaries in the coal mine, folks. I have the time. They destroyed my company, so I have the time to do what I do now. I have the time to go through and read and research. And when I say research, it's not like that Q bullshit. I've researched everything. I'm actually doing something about it. I'm not sitting back on my laurels waiting for the white hats to come riding in. Well, Kramer, you don't understand the plan. Gotcha. A plan that includes, by the way, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. Q is my whole story tomorrow. I want to finally get this broken out. It's amazing to me that people still believe that this is a possibility, that Trump is in power. We're going to go in and tomorrow is go through and show you how that's not the case. If Trump were really in power, then he's responsible for everything that's happening. Everything. We'll talk about that tomorrow. With that being said, I'm out of here for today. Thanks for watching. If you get the opportunity, go over to CramerSez.com. Get yourself an account. It's free. It's a free speech social media platform. It's a Facebook-like experience. No, it's not fancy. It doesn't have games, but it does have the ability for you to post your information. More importantly, it allows you to create groups. You can go create your own community. Whether that be, there's a person on there that's got followers and they're into alternative health remedies. You got people in there and how to make beer, right? All kinds of different groups on CramerSez.com. The reason I put it together like this is so that when these groups that we're calling for to be put together locally, it's an opportunity for you guys to at least meet and create a meetup point. I don't think that anything that we're going to be saying about what actions have to be taken next, none of that's going to be put over the internet. I'm not that stupid. You're not that stupid. But what I'm doing is using the power of the First Amendment to call for us to peacefully gather to discuss what we do next. How we peacefully remove these men and women, these tyrants, from power. How do we do that? Is there a way to do it peacefully? I doubt that. With that being said, I'm out of here. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow or as soon as we can.
What is Impact Health Sharing?
Impact Health Sharing isn't insurance.
It's a modern, affordable alternative to traditional health insurance, offering significant cost savings.
Most members save 30 to 50% on healthcare costs. With Impact Health Sharing, you enjoy the freedom to choose any doctor without in-network restrictions.
With an easy, hassle-free enrollment process.
Plus, access telemedicine 24/7 with $0 provider fees.
Call 844-827-2637 to learn how you can save 30, 40, even up to 50% on your healthcare costs.